This is Sifu Z, and I'm here with Johan at the Colorado Kwoon here in Denver. Colorado Kwoon, I like that. Yeah. So, this is, I think, number 4 of the introduction to Wing Chun, and this is going to be quite a thorough introduction. So, regardless if you're coming in for the first time or you've been with me for a while, this will act as a review, and even some new concepts might be addressed. Like you said, you've been doing this, Johan's been doing this for a while, and some new things.
Oh, absolutely.
A lot of new things.
Discovering, yes.
Yeah. So, you know, it's an interesting thing about Wing Chun is we're always going deeper into the basics, you know, and really refining our understanding. That's why in the beginning we're trying to learn all this stuff. You know, I remember we only had 3 forms: Seon Tao, Chun Kyu, Buji. But I remember I wanted to learn them all, and the Muk Jang, I wanted to learn all that stuff. But really, as long as you know the basics, you know, and you really practice the basics, you can get incredibly strong and learn a lot from that without ever really knowing the Chun Kyu, the Buji, and all that. So, of course, we're going to all learn that, right? And you're going to be learning Muk Jung with us, and pole form, Bar Chan Do, the butterfly swords. So, but this is I'll have the previous lessons linked down below. The first lesson was regarding Kimi Ma, right? Grasping the goat. Then the second lesson, well, the very first lesson was an introduction. Then the second lesson was Kimi Ma. Third lesson, Sifu took over lesson number 3, and he talked about Ban Sao, Tan Sao, and Fuk Sao. There are other movements or postures in the Wing Chun system, but those are monumental, right? Those are very ones we use a lot. So he talked about just everyday uses of Ban Sao, Tan Sao, Fuk Sao. And they might seem a little strange to you, but in reality, if you think about, we use them all the time. There's just sort of these critical moments are sort of a snapshot of a bigger picture, more frames, right? So now, today, what I want to talk about is, we've all heard of hemispheres: left side, right side of the brain, left hand, right side. We're not going to talk about hemispheres, we're going to talk about quadrants. In Wing Chun we have 4 quadrants. And we got the left, right, upper, and lower. But you could just isolate upper and lower, right? So you could say the previous lesson, 1 was about the lower quadrant, and the lesson after was about the upper quadrant. So what this lesson is going to be all about is connecting those 2. Now that might sound a little strange, they're already connected, but we've all heard about people that are more lower body, you know, they got more lower body strength, more leg strength, or people that have no lower body strength, but they're all upper body strength. Same thing coordination wise, where they have a lot of lower leg coordination, maybe a soccer player or something, as opposed to somebody that has more upper body coordination or strength. So the trick here in Kung Fu is creating a whole centered sort of person, right? A practitioner. So you're balanced. And a lot of times what happens, this is just such a natural thing, maybe we're left-handed or right-handed, so we do one thing more on one side, and then maybe we're involved in a sport or something, so we use more of one side or the other. Climbing is a great example. Climbing some people falsely think that you need a lot of upper body strength for climbing, but not really. For some real serious climbing, what you need is leg strength. And so you may really not do a lot with your upper body, but you're doing a lot of work with your lower body, and vice versa. Now, the trick with Wing Chun and how we use our understanding of Wing Chun and connecting these two things is we use lower body strength in order to accomplish what we're trying to do up here, and vice versa. We use upper body strength in order to achieve what we're trying to do down here. So if we're trying to kick, or we're trying to just grab the ground or pivot, this is all connected to the upper body as well. So I hope this is this visualization
I believe
working?
so, yes,
Yeah.
yes.
So let's get in our Kimima. I just want to show you this Kimima. And again, if you're not familiar with this, you just go back to the previous lessons. And you're squeezing here. Now, it's very easy to just relax the upper body. In fact, go ahead and relax the upper body and just squeeze with the legs and squeeze the knees together, right? Okay, now relax the lower body and get the upper body, and let's do, for this particular exercise, we'll go back into here and just squeeze the hands. So they're behind your nipple, let's say, right? Your hands are pulled back and you're really crunching with your abs. Now relax your lower body, right? This is kind of hard to do. It's when you're crunching with your abs, your legs, your quadriceps want to get activated. Okay, now put it all together. Squeeze with, crunch with your abs, pull back here, and squeeze with your knees. Now here's another element, your okole, right? Pull up and pull in from the groin as you're doing this. So you're squeezing, your feet are grabbing the ground as if Johan has no shoes on, which is perfect example. He's just very not trying to grab him too much. If you grab too much, your arches will come up off the ground. You want to kind of keep nice and flat-footed, yet sort of be grabbing with your toes and almost grabbing with your whole foot to the ground. If you have shoes on, then you're sort of trying to lay flat and then grab with your toes as well. Your knees are squeezing in. Again, this is all review. Your knees are squeezing in. If you look down, your knees should be covering your toes. So you can't see your toes. Now your abs are crunched. So that means your shoulders are sort of rounded and your abs are crunched and you're pulling your hands back. And squeeze all of this together. Now when we go to use the upper body posture, like bonsal, this is nice and solid. And that's the whole idea, is connecting the lower body posture with the upper body posture. Bonsal, tonsal, right? We're just doing bonsal, tonsal, bonsal, tonsal. And it should be very strong. In other words, it's not all loose and, all mellow. No, everything really solid, right? Go again, bonsal, tonsal. Right side, or left side, bonsal, tonsal. Good. And bring it together and relax. So when I talk about connecting the upper and lower quadrants, that's what we're talking about. You can practice just your lower body quadrant. You can practice your upper body quadrant. In fact, when you're just learning this, that tends to be what you have to do. When you're first getting used to your lower body stuff, like the Kimima, you usually have to focus on that. So that's okay. And same thing with bonsal, tonsal, fuksal, all those postures. You'll focus on that as you're learning them. but you'll learn them quick. So the next step, which is what we're talking about here, is connecting that upper and lower body quadrants. So that way, when we're doing stuff like when we were training yesterday in horse stance, right? If you just do horse stance and you just use your lower body strength, you'll feel strong for a while, but then you'll start getting weak, right? So you then have to really engage the upper body and spread. I like to think of it as spreading the energy out evenly. The strength, the amount of strength that you're using. Use as much strength up here as you're using down here to maintain that horse stance. So that's just an example. You want to use the same concept as you're moving, right? As you're moving or pivoting or moving back, moving forward, pivoting, all of that, you want to stay connected as a whole body. Once you disconnect the upper body from the lower or the left from the right, then you're gonna probably have problems, right? Because that's where your vulnerabilities are when one thing isn't connected with the other. Now, I paused a little bit when I said disconnect, because left, right, Chris Chan, no left, no right. Now we're getting into some complex ideas here, but sometimes you trade off left and right? So you'll be loose and supple on the left, but hard and strong on the right, or vice versa. But it's still all connected. So I just pause there because there might be a misconception that you're disconnecting left and engaging right. Right? Because that's easy to do too. So, but right now, that's a little bit complex. So right now, what I want you to focus on is being able to really understand the Kingi Ma, being able to grab the ground and get this balance and the centering. Because that balance and centering equals what we call the ground power, right? Well, power is just in structure, right? You're really balanced really nicely. Your shoulders are balanced over your heels, and you're grabbing the ground. You're crunched, so your structure is very strong over this base that you're creating, and then connecting that to very strong and positive upper body postures. Now, the upper body postures are very specific, because they're very strong. These angles are very strong. And so we stick with using these strong angles. For example, when we do long sao, we don't have long sao out where it's vulnerable. We always keep our long sao within a range where we can still control and it's still strong. So same thing with any of the upper body postures. So I think that's it for today's. That's a lot to chew on and to work on. Something that you want to work on is you put it all together. Do your Kingi Ma, right? Kingi Ma, get into the stance, right? And then upper body and crunch and squeeze, right? And now you can do, because we're going to start getting into the first section of the seal dao. So for the next lesson, we're going to be focusing on doing these upper body postures connected to the ground. I'm not going to do them now, but for now, you can just practice this, right? Squeeze, pull up from the groin, squeeze with the knees, grab the ground with the toes, crunch with the abs, roll the shoulders slightly so your abs can really get consolidate. Crunch.
Keep your neck
very good. Neck nice and loose. But again, that's going into the next lesson, right? So as you do this, that's okay. It's a good thing to learn and to know early, is to keep your neck loose, right? You don't want to restrict the flow of blood and air or whatever it might be from your head to the rest of your body. Okay, if you have any questions, be sure to put them in the comments below. If you haven't done so already, check us out on patreon.com/Sifu Z. And if you want more information on training, you can find that again on sifuz.com. We're also, we're on Facebook and YouTube and all that, but yeah, I'll share that with you in the description below. All right, we'll see you for the next video.